Okay, a lot of people have been asking me about my fertilizer injector, so I'm going to go over exactly what it is and what it does and explain a little bit of it. And so I hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it. Okay, what I did, and let me get, you got to excuse me, it's kind of hard to get in here. Okay, so basically right over here, okay, so basically right over here to right over here, this and this is the fertilizer injector. Then I got quick disconnects over here, disconnect over there, there, and there. So I could go ahead and replace anything that needs replacing. So this fertilizer injector, let's see if I get this in there. There's a tube going over here to over here with an end on it. And over here I have a spigot. Let me move out. Okay, and over here I have a spigot. I take this bucket. Let me take this hose off for now. Okay, I take a bucket and I put it under the spigot. I turn this and I fill up the bucket. That's 5-gallon bucket. And I go ahead and take 2 scoops. That's 2 cups of fertilizer. Well, then I go ahead and take this end and I drop it in like that, and it siphons it out, it sucks it out. It goes through and it goes into the adjustment over here. And by turning this, see the bubbles? By turning this right there, that controls how much goes in and gets sucked up. The well pump over here, the water comes up, and usually it goes straight through like that and goes all the way down to my garden. But when you want it to go through here, you turn this valve off so the water cannot go that way. And then you turn this valve so the water comes through this way. It creates a siphon. The fertilizer comes up and it goes through here and then goes out to your garden. Now, this is really important. You'll see that there's a gauge that I installed over here, and there's a gauge that I installed right over here. Well, the reason for the gauges, and they're easy, you could just tap it, thread it, and put it in. The pressure on this gauge has to be full pressure. The pressure on that gauge has to be 25% less. So by taking this and turning it, it reduces the pressure, and you can see it go down, and that creates the siphon, and that creates the, let me go ahead and turn this. Okay, so what that does, it creates the siphon, and it takes the fertilizer from this bucket and sends it out to your garden. Now, if you don't have a well pump, that's okay. They have a fertilizer injector that hooks onto an ordinary spigot, and it will still siphon out of a bucket and send all the fertilizer to your garden. Now, my garden is a drip irrigation garden. So when it sucks out of here and goes through the fertilizer injector out to the garden, every single drip head drips fertilizer onto each and every plant. So you know that the fertilizer injector is really going to benefit your garden for fertilizing each and every plant. Whether you have 10 plants or 1,000 plants, 1,000. I have a couple hundred plants. So to go out there and to fertilize by hand, it'll take about an hour to hour and a half. I know, because I've done it before. And with this, you could adjust, you could have this whole 5-gallon bucket siphon out in 5 minutes, or you could adjust the valve over there to where it would take an hour for this 5-gallon bucket, or a half an hour for the 5-gallon bucket of fertilizer to reach your garden. And that's up to you. Most of the time, I let it take a long time so it drips slow and the water doesn't wash it on out. Now, frequency. I usually fertilize my garden twice a week, and the same way. I fill this up, send the liquid fertilizer to the garden twice a week. When I water, well, I water every day the garden. I'm here in Florida, so every day the garden gets watered, but twice a week, usually on a Wednesday and a Saturday, it gets fertilized. And that's how I go ahead and fertilize my garden. So I'm not sure what else I could tell you about the fertilizer injector, but when you do get one, I could add this. When you do get one, make sure it has this on it, because on eBay and Amazon they sell them, and it's just got the injector, but it doesn't have the adjustment. That adjustment's important because you can see it going up and down, and it tells you the amount of fertilizer that you're sending, and there's an adjustment on it. Without that, it would just like suck out, and you won't know how much is going and how much your flow is. But with this, if you look closely at it, just try to get this close. If you look closely, this ball right down in here will go up and it will go down, and right on the outside, it's molded in there. There's amounts, and by doing this, you can see the bubbles going up right now. By using this, it'll make that go up and go down. So I feel that that's real important to have on there. Otherwise, it's only half done. And another thing you're going to have is you're going to have your gauges. Now, those gauges are made for water pressure. They're only about $10 a piece on Amazon. Those need to be put on there. Another thing that I utilize, I have a filter right in there. So when I send the fertilizer from the well out to the drip heads, sand from the well or debris from the fertilizer doesn't go into the drip heads and clog up the drip heads. So make sure you have a inline filtration filter that will take out any sand or debris and not clog up your drip heads. So once you do that and have all this set up, basically it's just like you turn it on, you plop this in your fertilizer, and boom, it's all on autopilot, and it's not really a big thing to fertilize your garden. So anyway, if you have any comments or questions, put them below. I'll try to get back to you on them. If you want me to explain something further or tell you anything else about it, I'll do that. Now, I have other videos on this, and I have other videos about the drip system that I use and the fertilizers that I use. I'm using Comfrey Bakken 14. I'm using Mexican sunflower, and I make liquid fertilizer. And here's a big bucket of it right now, a big drum of it. And I got 2 more behind me over here. And that's how I make my fertilizer. I also use AgroThrive for my garden. Now, I have 3 different types of fertilizer. Well, I have a big property and I have 12 zones. So I use different fertilizer on my watermelon, different fertilizer for my garden, and different fertilizer for fruit trees, and different fertilizer for my banana plants, and so on. And you could experiment to see what works better for you or not. I think I have it down to a science to where I know that it would cost me an arm and a leg to do the whole property if I had to buy it. So by growing it and making my own, after the initial setup, it's free fertilizer for life. And so you can't beat that price. Free is free. So instead of paying $25 or $30 a gallon, it's $0 per gallon. So, but the easy way to fertilize is through the injector system, and I can send the fertilizer to any zone I want, and it could fertilize whatever shrubs I want, depending on the zone. So, anyway, if you get a chance, research them online. Get one for your spigot or get one for your well pump. They make them for all different types of applications. You could use a small one, a 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, all the way up to commercial applications that are huge pipes. So they got one for everybody. So for a small investment of, let's say, $30 or $40, maybe $50 with all the other stuff that you need, it's going to save you a whole bunch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little video, and good luck. Later.